It was one of those oddly calm afternoons where the sun felt too still in the sky. I had just put the baby down for a nap. A little after 1 p.m., she always slept with her tiny fists curled under her chin, looking like a doll. Max, our golden retriever, circled once and lay down beside the crib, his head resting on his paws, ears slightly perked as if listening to her breathing. He'd been by her side since the day we brought her home. Protective, gentle, almost too human in his devotion. I needed to step outside for a quick work call. Nothing dramatic. Just 15 minutes in the backyard to escape the weak cell signal indoors. As I stood at the door, I turned back instinctively. Max looked up at me as if to say, "I've got this." I smiled. "Good boy," I whispered. "Watch her for me." The door clicked shut behind me, and I stepped into the garden, still within earshot if anything went wrong. But there was nothing. No crying, no barking, not even hum of the nursery monitor. Just birds chirping and the muffled sound of my client's voice on the other end of the line. I paced near the flower bed, letting the warm air settle my nerves. This had become routine, me relying on Max, trusting him more than any baby monitor. But the longer I stayed out there, the more I felt wrong. It wasn't a sound or a shadow, just a feeling that crawled up my spine and wrapped its fingers around the back of my neck. A mother's intuition, maybe, or something deeper, something primal. I cut the call short and turned to head back in. As I reached the door, I hesitated. The house looked the same as I left it, but suddenly it felt unfamiliar, like a stage set, hollow behind the walls. I brushed it off. "You're overthinking. You're just tired," I told myself. Inside, the air was different, thicker, too quiet. I took a slow breath and stepped into the hallway, unaware that in just a few seconds, everything I believed about that house and about Max was about to change forever. As soon as I stepped back into the house, I knew something was off. It wasn't just quiet, it was wrong. The kind of quiet that presses in on your ears, as if the house itself is holding its breath. The air was heavier than before, almost humid, despite the air conditioner still humming faintly from the vent above. I crept down the hallway toward the nursery, each footstep sounding unnaturally loud on the wooden floor. I half expected to hear Max's usual greeting, his soft bark or the rhythmic thump of his tail against the floor, but there was nothing, just that smothering silence. The door to the nursery was open, and the light filtering to the curtains cast long shadows across the room. I stepped inside, eyes immediately darting to the crib. The baby was still sleeping, undisturbed. But Max wasn't at his usual spot beside the crib. Instead, he was crouched near the closet, body rigid, tail stiff, hackles raised. His eyes didn't even flick toward me. They were locked on the closet door, which hung open just an inch. But it was enough. Enough to see the void behind it. Enough to feel the cold draft creeping from its cracks. Then I heard it. A hiss. So faint I might have missed it, but Max didn't. His teeth bared instantly, a low growl rumbling deep in his throat like distant thunder. That's when I saw it. Something move inside the closet. It was slow, deliberate, and dark. My breath caught as a thick, black shape began to emerge, gliding across the floor in silence. It was a snake. Not small, not harmless. This thing was long, thick-bodied, with deep, oil-slick scales that shimmered in the dim light. And it wasn't wandering. It was headed straight for the crib. I wanted to scream, but my voice caught in my throat. My legs refused to move, as if the weight of the moment had turned me to stone. Max inched forward, positioning himself between the snake and the crib, his growl now steady and deep, vibrating through the room like a warning. Still, the snake slithered closer, and in that moment, watching it emerge in the closet, I thought I knew. I realized this wasn't just an animal intrusion. Something ancient. Something wrong had been living in that house, and Max had always known. I don't remember making a decision to move. My body just reacted. But before I could take a step, Max lunged. Not at the snake, but directly in front of the crib, shielding the baby with his body. He stood firm, his body tense, hackles raised, a deep growl rolling through his chest like a warning siren from the underworld. The snake reared back, its body coiling, eyes fixed on Max. Then, Without hesitation, it struck. Once, a blur of movement. Max yelped but didn't move. Twice, faster this time. Max didn't flinch. He stood his ground like a stone guardian, even as blood began to seep from his side. That finally snapped me out of my frozen horror. I rushed across the room, adrenaline making my legs feel weightless. I grabbed the baby from the crib, clutching her tightly as she stirred awake with a sleepy whimper. Her tiny hand brushed against my cheek, grounding me, anchoring me in the moment. The snake paused. It looked at me, not with the mindless instinct of an animal, but with something colder. Aware, it flicked its tongue, then slowly turned, slithering back into the closet as if retreating from something stronger. I watched it disappear into the dark, its tail vanishing behind the door, like smoke curling into a crack. I screamed for help. Animal control came within 20 minutes. They tore apart the closet, pried up the floorboards, even opened the walls behind it. But they found nothing. No snake, no nest, no trace of where it could have gone. Just deep claw marks etched into the wood inside the closet, not from a snake, but from something trying to escape. Long, violent, desperate. Max lay in the corner, breathing shallow. I knelt beside him, stroking his fur, whispering, "You did so good, Max. You saved her." He looked up at me, eyes soft, and gave one small wag of his tail, then went still. We buried him under the oak tree in the backyard. The baby still cries when we pass that spot. The closet is nailed shut now, but some nights I swear I hear a hiss behind that door. And Max isn't here anymore to guard us. True loyalty is silent, selfless, and sometimes sacrificial. Even when danger hides where we least expect it, those who love us most, whether human or not, will face the darkness to protect us. Trust your instincts, but never underestimate the quiet courage of those who cannot speak.